All right, let's see if this works. Welcome everyone to State of the Game for the 15th of June. Big blanket statement. What are commendations?
Okay, so commendations are they're basically an expansion of achievements, but that's doing a big disservice to them. They're a way to kind of build in a long-term challenge for existing users as well as new users, so they can come in and they can work towards long-term goals. And at the same time, we're also going to reward loyalty. So people that have already played the game for a while, when commendations come online, there'll be a bunch of stuff they'll have already achieved, and that will show. And much like global events, the core is to get players to explore the game a little bit more, maybe push them into areas they might not necessarily play, get them to think about builds, get them to think about talents and play styles, and just try and keep that engagement going on.
Commendations. So let's continue a little bit with that. One of the things that you alluded to was that commendations, some of them will be retroactive, correct?
Yes.
On that, I think it's fair to say that given the breadth of the commendations, which we will be talking about more in a second, not everything has been tracked in the way that it would need to be retroactive. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like we're looking at like maybe 500 commendations.
All right, that's
quite a lot. And obviously we haven't tracked all of them since the game launched. The way we're looking at it right now is to put everyone on an even keel when they start. It's going to be anything that you can't do again, anything that's part of the game that you really should have some kind of achievement for, but is non-repeatable. That will be retroactively applied, but everything else is mostly going to start on at 0. You're going to have to work through that again. But it does put everyone on an even keel. Part of the reason that's we think that's okay is that you're going to get some kind of view on how everyone else is doing on their commendations, and that means that it becomes a kind of a view on how good you're doing in the game and your progress.
That leads me to one of my other questions. We're going to cross over to Gabe, who's doing star jumps. Guys, could you turn me down a little bit more? Sorry. I'm getting that back again. But let's switch over to Gabe, who's doing some star jumps. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yeah, anyway. So Gabe, could you just take us into what people will experience as the commendations menu? We can see that they're split up into 8 categories as it stands right now. Some of them complete, some of them not. We have some of the general ones completed, the missions completed. Obviously, things like if you have hit level 30 and a commendation asks you to hit level 30, we're not going to have to do that again, is that correct?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, great. Some of the other questions I had, so I can talk a little bit about this, and you guys can talk about it more, is that there will be some rewards tied to this, which is really, really cool. Vanity things. We can talk about some of that today, and we are going to be able to say that there will be a new vanity slot for the patches, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So obviously I would love if Tom were here to talk about it, because I know that he's super passionate about those things. But if people kind of see, people know it from, the agent, that on your arm you have the Phoenix logo, correct? By default, but you will be having other patches that you earn through commendations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're exclusively through commendations as well.
Okay, so if someone's like a complete badass in the Dark Zone, they will be, able to tag themselves as such.
Yeah, they'll have patches that other people won't have access to.
Okay.
Sure.
Cool. Add those numbers up, not 500. Correct, I turn D nuts. I see you in chat. We did talk about that before. This is a development build. So you'll see here that the screen reads 110 commendations in this build, but there will be a lot more. I have actually seen some of those in Tom's spreadsheet, and there's some really, really cool ones in there as well. So one of the things that I've noticed that the community are doing at the moment is they're kind of creating their own challenges, and they've been doing it for a little while. But like, for example, I know a few streamers are doing like I don't know what you would call it, but like in WoW, it was the Undying Naxxramas thing, which I got on my Rogue, and it was a lot of fun. sorry, that was like a humble brag. If you missed that, anyway, Undying Rogue here. But back in for example, in Diablo 2, people were kind of creating the Iron Man type challenges where you would not die and all these sorts of things, or hardcore mode, or those sorts of things. Are those the types of specific gameplay experiences that could be added, or people could get recognition for completing in the commendation system?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that can be one compartment of it. Like we'll have things like complete legendary missions without going down or dead, or we'll have things like in Dragon's Nest, complete it without ever being hit by an RC car. Oh, yeah. We've definitely got challenges built in there. I mean, if the categories are on screen, we're looking to encompass all of the game. So each individual area will have very specific and targeted commendations for the player to achieve.
Okay, obviously, and there's ones that aren't targeted, like kill this many cleaners, kill this many something, right?
Yeah, we've got general ones in there, like kill 1,000 cleaners, kill 1,000 Rikers, use get 1,000 kills with ARs, SMGs, things like that.
Cool. What are some of your favorite ones that you've seen Thomas cooked up?
Oh, well, my favorite one is the art gallery in Survival.
Yeah.
Spend 3 minutes looking at the pictures in Survival.
yeah. Awesome. There's simple funny ones like tactical neck, which is like just equip a turtleneck.
Perfect.
Or like tired yet, which is like I think it's like shoot 100 tires out.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. For the people wondering, there is a car door achievement. Correct. Yeah. A commendation rather. I don't know exactly the numbers that there are for it. I'll see if Gabe can find it. He's going through. Zion Nevi is asking, why do we need this? I, for one, this again might not be for everyone. It's that kind of long-term engagement, right? Like, so when commendations go live, there'll be a patch you really want, right? And if you really want that patch, you might have to do something to go and get that patch. There's also the fact that we want to push you to areas like, let's say you're not really into survival, but there's a really cool patch. Maybe you can go and play that and get the patch. And then through doing that, you actually, this is a really cool game mode. I'm really switched on with this. Yeah.
It's also not just the patches, because we've got the commendation score that goes with the commendations as well. Each commendation counts towards a score. And that score is also going to appear on the kill screen in the dark. So if someone shoots you, you're going to see their patch and their commendation score as well. So you'll know, if they've got a low commendation score, you've kind of been killed by a noob. That's not so good. If they've got high commendation score, maybe you feel a little bit better about yourself. So maybe you want that patch as well.
I mean, as soon as like the ETF guys see this, like the first thing they're like, oh my God, your score is way higher than mine. What have you done in game that I've not done? And then they were like desperate to go and do that to get their commendation score up. Exactly. So it's quite a cool kind of peacock show-off mechanic as well.
Yeah.
And we know that everyone's 256 in the dark zone anyway, so this is another layer on top of that.
For sure. I remember one of the questions that we had come up when we were talking about this thing is, what happens if you jump on another character? Are people going to see an account-wide commendation score or a per-character commendation score, right? Because you don't want to go in and be like a complete... Well, I mean, the situation I think people brought up was, well, what if I'm on an alt and I want to run heroic stolen signal and my commendation score is 0? People are going to kick me from the group, right?
For sure.
That won't happen, from my understanding?
It's definitely account-wide.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So people will still know how much you've completed, or a correlation between how kind of involved you are in the game.
And again, this ties in with the dark zone. If someone's running, if someone's in a lower dark zone area, they're running 192s or something for whatever reason, but they've actually got a really high commendation score, that they're running
kind of trolling.
They're kind of trolling for some reason.
Okay.
Or vice versa. If someone's just reached that kind of level, you kind of know what level they're at.
Yes. Very cool. I'm just having a look at chat to see if there's anything else people want to chat about. I saw also in the gameplay, Gabe, I don't know if you can find it as well, that there's a little medal icon, but also a little Uplay icon. What am I seeing when I'm looking at that?
Well, some of the commendations are actually linked to the first-party achievements that you have as well. So we've got Uplay and the PlayStation and Xbox achievements as well. So those ones will be doubled up with the commendations as well. It all rolls into one package.
Ah, okay, very cool. One of the other things I thought would be really, really cool, and if you guys are up for it, is taking hopefully some feedback from the community on if they were to design a commendation themselves, what would they do, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
So as we get through the PTS, obviously, and even now, because you kind of know the way that the feature is going, what would you like to see? They can be funny ones, they can be cool ones, they can be, I'm a badass in the dark zone kind of ones. Gabe, don't show the console, please. That was my bad. I shouldn't have had you live then. But Gabe, what have you done? The thing is, if you want to do that, the feedback and suggestions part of the forum, Gabe, that's usually the best place, right? You can find that. I think exclamation forums. You can find it over there. But yeah, I can see you already having some things in chat. Having the most hats.
That's we've got stuff like that in there about hat collectors.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
What other ones can you think of that are a little bit on the novelty side?
Oh man, there's like 500 of these.
Okay, there's a lot.
It's like a needle in a stack of needles.
Well, okay. I'm told that Naked Cowboy has a good question. Explain how there are tiers. Yes. Okay, so there are tiered rewards. Gabe, can you find one of those? Let me just bring that up. There we go. So looking at this, we're looking at Bank of New York, which is a pretty simple one. Have amount of credits. I don't know what the top tier one is. It's pretty high, but then again, there are a lot of people that have a lot of credits right now. So those sorts of things. Will you get rewards for completing the final tier, or will you get rewards along the way? Do you guys know about that?
You will get some form of reward for every single feat you complete. So you'll get rewards along the way, and then for a big tier one, you may get another reward.
Okay, perfect.
The patches will only be awarded at the end, for the end of a tier, but there will be something for you on the way. I don't know if we can talk about it right now.
Not just yet. So someone says $1 billion for the top tier. Maybe. People have hit $1 billion quite. There are lots of people who are there.
Yeah, we are taking feedback on the exact numbers as well. It's like a lot of this is not tested yet. We're also hoping for the PTS to give us that feedback as well. So when you see those numbers, they're not quite final yet, but maybe they're the general ballpark, and maybe you can give us some feedback on that as well.
Okay, great. One of the questions I see from Seven in chat is how will you be able to wear multiple patches? My understanding is no, just one at a time, right?
Yeah, just one at a time.
Okay, very cool. PTS, that is exactly why I want to finish off this stream, to have a moment with you guys. Because, yes, we are still on track for the PTS. The date is getting closer, although it's not locked just yet, so we don't have a date for you today. Console PTS will be happening. They are talking with the first parties about those things right now, as well as getting all the builds and things sorted for that. I noticed that people were saying, they referenced my comment a few days ago about, I'll check to see if we can get a build for today. The two things aren't related. Do not worry about that. That has no bearing on what's happening with the PTS, console or PC. So, I mentioned it before. I managed to have a conversation with Keith Evans over at Redstorm as he was entering the office today, so a couple of hours ago. And one of the big questions that I put to Keith was, Deadeye and Seeker, are there things that we're going to test during the PTS to see some changes there? Happily, I can say that we will be testing some changes to both of those. So I'm really, really excited for the next PTS to see how far we can push those to be a little bit more in line with everything else. So the build diversity that we have is a little bit fairer. Even though we are in an age where we have a lot of build diversity, I do think Seeker and Deadeye do need to be looked at, and I think that there are a lot of people out there that agree with me. GCAR 2012, I see you have concerns over if that will hurt PvE players. That will be one of the things that we have to address during the PTS. So what will be important is that you stay engaged in the conversation to make sure that that isn't the case, because we want to make sure that it is fair for everyone, both PvPers and PvEers. Good news, though, is that console people will not have to be as disconnected from it. Even though we got a lot of good feedback from console players on PTSs that they weren't playing, it's much better if we get feedback on it based on your experience rather than speculative feedback. Okay. That's going to be all for today. No, it's not. Haha. There is a weekend event, and I actually have, if I can find it with my extra mouse here, there will be a special event weekend starting tomorrow. And you get extra rewards from the name bosses, so that is super cool. Be a lot of fun for the weekend. Go grind some more gears. What about the lag? So I've actually, I was mentioning on the forums earlier, that's one of the, obviously the continued conversations that people have, and rightly so. There's a situation, obviously, where people need to, there's a trade-off, right, between matchmaking times and server populations. So we are definitely looking, so I talked with some server engineers about it, if there are some ways that we can optimize that current thing in terms of priorities, but we will need to decide which of those is the priority. So one of the threads that we were talking about was some Australian folks who obviously have to wait a while if they are dedicating themselves to staying on the Sydney data centre. Do we want to have a trade-off between making it so they only attach to that one and they have to wait for X amount of time? Or would they rather have shorter queues and slightly lower pings, potentially? I will see you all tomorrow morning. Going to play some more 1.6.1. Everyone have a great day. Wow, I can't believe it's almost been half an hour. That was fun. Who needs a Yannick? To be fair, I do. I kind of miss him.
I don't.
Gabe says he doesn't need Yannick. Come on. We do. I miss that guy. Anyway, take it easy, everyone. See you later.